Welcome to Training Tip Tuesday. Many dogs greet people they love or even strangers by jumping up on them. So I'm here to show you a few tips to teach your dog something to do in place of that jumping. Because that's always a challenge, right? When our dog is jumping on somebody and we just don't want that behavior from them. So when your guests arrive, your dog can smell them, they can hear them at the door. You go to open that door and the first thing your dog does is jump all over your guests. Maybe when they were a little puppy, that was kind of cute, but the bigger they get, the older they become, it can be a problem. You might have small children coming in outside the door. Somebody carrying things might be coming in. Maybe your guests are dressed up in their finery and they don't want to have muddy paws all over them. So there's a lot of things that reasons why we might not want our dogs to be jumping on somebody. Sometimes it's just embarrassing, right? We feel like we don't have good control over our pet if they're jumping over everybody. So there are a lot of different ways to train an alternative behavior. Do something different when guests arrive. I'm just going to show you one of them. So I am Kelly Kendall. I am the owner of Happy Dog Acres. I am a certified pro dog trainer, and I'll be here talking to you today. So let's look at a couple of reasons why your dog might jump. Might be they just want to greet the guest. They want to get close and say hi. Maybe they're trying to request something. Maybe they want some treats. Maybe they want some pets. Maybe they want to be let outside while their guests are coming in the door. Maybe they want to play. There's a lot of reasons why your dog might jump. So I'm going to give you one myth buster. Your dog isn't being stubborn. They're not trying to be dominant. Sometimes that's the take on jumping on people, but that's not the case. Your dog's usually just looking for something and trying to say hi a lot of the time. It's just a learned behavior for your dog. It's rewarding. They get something, right? Somebody pays attention to them. Somebody talks to them. Somebody's going to be touching them. Even if you feel that you're providing some negative input to your dog, they're still loving it. You're talking to them. Somebody's got hands on. So it's really a rewarding behavior for your dog to jump on people. And most dogs really just haven't had a chance to practice their good door manners. Everything just happens right in the moment, right? The door opens, the dog's jumping on people. We're trying to corral that. So we need to kind of get them a little bit of skill under their belt so that they even know what the heck they're supposed to be doing. They think it's a great party when somebody comes in the door, that's a great time. Or they might even be a little bit scared. Maybe they're barking at the person jumping on them in that way and they're a little nervous. Either way, they just haven't had the chance to practice it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Having the understanding behind why your dog might do this. They don't really have a skill not to do that. They're just excited. They want to be rewarded at the greeting. That'll help you to have a little bit of patience with your dog while you're teaching them an alternative behavior. So, what some of the options that you can choose for an alternative behavior here on this card. And instead of having your puppy keep practicing these undesirable behaviors, you teach them to greet people by keeping their forepaws on the ground or by sitting calmly or going over to their mat. There's two parts to any kind of training these behaviors. The first thing is the training. You have to teach them the skill of that. And the second piece is management. You want to start your training in your home where there aren't any visitors present so that they're actually in the right mental headspace to learn the skill. They're not already all hyped up by cool people coming over. They're in working mode. So you're going to train that behavior at home when there's no visitors around. The second piece is management. You want to set up some management to prevent jumping from happening when guests do arrive to your house. If your dog gets to keep jumping on guests every time they come over, the training that you're working on isn't ever going to become the real thing that we do. So you have to have the management piece also. Which just means you could use a leash. You could have your dog in a different room or out in the yard when your guests come over. You may have them in their crate, something like that. Some sort of management that does not allow your dog access to jump on your visitors when they're arriving. Now, if your dog reacts to the doorbell or a knock, just place a sign on your door asking people to send a text when they're there so that way you have time to give your dog a good setup. People don't just knock on the door, your dog goes bonkers, and then you're trying to wind them back down into their crate or out into the yard or something. So a sign is a perfectly good way to let people know that. All right, so we have here a video on how to teach your dog to go to a spot when someone's at your door. You start practicing this by having someone knock on the door or ring the bell, however it's going to be at your house, and you don't have to open it first. You just knock on the door, ring the bell, and then you use your cue that sends your dog to their bed. So that might be on your bed, spot, go to your place, whatever cue your dog is using. You may just have a visual cue that you kind of point to them to go to their bed, whatever that is. So it's knock, 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 go to your bed. And then you can reward them on their bed. Now, if you don't have a helper, you can just knock yourself, just like that. Oh my goodness. My dogs were not expecting that. So even if your dog does really get wound up in the presence of the door and the knocking or the ringing, you can even start the process away from the door and play a knock or a ring on your phone and then cue them right to their bed in a different room. That way they're not tempted to start jumping on the door looking for the visitor, like, where is that guy? So, all right, guys, hopefully this is helpful. Please share what works for you. Let us know that this video is helpful. And we're interested to see how you and your dog come along training a different skill. Happy training.